I would like to discuss the need for teeth cleaning in small animals, dogs and cats. At some point in these small animals' lives, they usually will need to have their teeth cleaned to prevent severe dental disease, which the worse the dental disease gets, the more it affects their health. I'm sure many of you have experienced a dog coming up to you and breathing in your face or kissing you, and you've smelled the really bad breath, and that bad breath is due to bacteria that builds up in the dog's mouth and the teeth and under the gums. And so that's one sign that most likely your animal's teeth need to be cleaned at that point. There's other reasons too. As the teeth get worse, you can get bacteria that actually make its way underneath the gums and down between the teeth and get into the bone and can become bloodborne. And the bacteria can then settle in the heart, in the kidneys, liver, pancreas, other organs, and that could cause a systemic infection. Usually dogs and cats will have pretty good teeth until they're 3, 4, 5 years old, depending on how much they chew. At some point, though, you'll start seeing a buildup, and if you can look at this chart over here, we've got a normal tooth, normal anatomy, we've got healthy gums, and a nice tight seal with this tooth root sealed into the bone. As you move along in periodontal disease, you start to build up tartar on the tooth, you get a lot of inflammation along the gums, and you start to get inflammation down in this pocket here, which starts to get a little bit of separation of that tooth. As you go into the next stage, you're getting a lot of tartar that builds up around that tooth, which really causes a lot of inflammation. When the gum is inflamed, it starts to recede. As the gum recedes, you're getting more exposure to this bone. You get the root that starts breaking away from that bone, and the tooth starts to get loose. And you get further along, you can see how the bone starts to fade away and degenerate here due to the inflammation. And at this point, these teeth are starting to get fairly loose, and this is where you get a lot of bacteria that can finally make it through that protective barrier and into the bone and then into the bloodstream, which cause the problems. Once we get fairly far along here, you've got a lot of pus, you've got the chance that this tooth could abscess, you get loss of bone, and then these teeth, if the dogs do chew or cats do a lot of chewing, sometimes these teeth are starting to fall out, they're getting very loose. Now, our procedure for cleaning teeth, these animals aren't going to sit still when we place an ultrasonic scaler up against their enamel to try to blow away all of that tartar. They need to be under anesthesia. So we set this up where the pet comes in the morning of its dental procedure, its dental cleaning, and they come in on an empty stomach. If they're under 5, we treat them a little bit differently than when they're a little bit older. We do more extensive pre-dental blood work. We may require a chest x-ray. Some of the older animals we like to have on IV fluids, but ultimately we have the animals under anesthesia so we can clean the tartar off the teeth. We measure the gap that is forming between the gum and the healthy tissue down below, just like is done in human medicine. We get a measurement of that millimeter length, and if it gets too deep, then most of the time we recommend either doing something to help that pocket reform and solidify against that tooth, or if it's severe enough, we might recommend that that tooth be extracted so that area can heal over and we won't have an area where bacteria can now enter the bloodstream anymore. Most of the dogs act so much better after they've had their teeth cleaned because they've been putting up with the tartar and swallowing this bacteria and having a bad mouth for a long time. And once we get them cleaned up, they feel better, their breath is better, and their overall health is improved. One of the things that they have found over the last few years of studies that they've done is if you can keep animals' teeth clean their entire life, they usually live almost 2 years longer than a litter mate that would have its teeth just kind of left unchecked and unbrushed and uncleaned. So by keeping your pet's teeth clean, you can actually add to their life expectancy.